Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Don Capria. But I wanted to come on here and just chop it up with you guys for a little while. I got a lot of great content on the way. I got stuff other people can't get. And guess what? They're not rats. No cooperators. We're not going to deal with them types of people. We're going to bring you people who did not cooperate, that have dignity, and we're gonna bring you some quality content, not like these other people who bring you liars and you know they flip-flop back and forth. They don't know which way they're going. Just punks, man, most of them. And but we don't worry about them over here. We got plenty of good content. Make sure you check out the Patreon. I got content I can't put on YouTube on Patreon. I'm going to upload a video right after this. I just got done recording it. I told you guys that I was going to do a video about the woman who brung her dead uncle to the bank to get a loan. She had him trying to sign a paper. It was insane. A lot of people are probably waiting for part 2 of the Colombo family, the unsolved murder. Don Capria, he's a great dude. He has a crazy story, and how he met Anthony and all this stuff. It's pretty intricate. And this interview is a 4-part. And I'm going to pull it up for you guys in 1 minute. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure it's on all. Check out the membership on Patreon as well as YouTube. Our numbers are climbing steady. We're about to hit 10,000. And it's only up from there. And I got the best subscribers in the world. How you doing? Lackawanna County, safe kids. Big boy Blue, what's up? Pink Panther, how are you? Anthony E. Colombo Jr., thank you for getting a membership. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out the membership on YouTube as well as Patreon. There's content that other people just don't have. It's easy to buddy with the rats, right? But to get official content, nah, they don't have it. But anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys long. Let's get into the content. Shout out to Don. Make sure you guys go check his book out, The Unsolved Murder of Anthony Colombo. And I'll be back on in a little bit. Enjoy.
Capria, and I'm the author of Colombo, The Unsolved Murder, and I am chatting with Stacks.
And a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged, and investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.
FBI, open up! Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Don Capria.
If there are stories about him on the criminal side, it was always a situation where we would be doing the interviews for the book, and most of the time I would record from my laptop, and we would have everything. I have everything documented via tape. But at those potential moments, if they did happen, he'd say, "Shut the laptop and let's go for a walk." So I hold a lot of those stories in confidence.
Yeah.
But there were potential stories that he did speak about.
Did he tell you when he was made and all that type of stuff? Did he get into that?
Yeah, if he did, I wouldn't repeat it. The only thing I would repeat was that when he spoke about that, he was remorseful that he did get involved in the rackets. There came a point where he was, it's a catch-22. He's between a rock and a hard place with his father, not coming to, and money potentially going out the window with his businesses and whatnot. And Anthony felt he needed to step up as the oldest man in the Colombo family. And, the criminal lifestyle was offering something to him financially that no job could. So he took that opportunity and did a lot of things, and he did a lot of bad things to help support his family, his entire family. And later in life, he went to prison for charges. 2 different times he was indicted, but the one time was in the 80s. And he definitely said that, being away from his wife and being away from his children, it didn't add up for him. And he knew that his father was looking down on him, and that made him feel remorseful that he got involved in the rackets.
How did he feel about the Colombo crime family carrying on his name, his father's namesake?
It's a curse more than it is a gift. We thought that would help us with the book, being that his name's Anthony Colombo, and they use it in the paper continuously for, we're talking 60 to 70 years now. And the curse of it is, it rings a bell in a bad way. But then with some people, maybe potentially Hollywood people and whatnot, it's an interesting name to have. For him, it ended up being way more of a curse than it was a gift. He was indicted again in around 2002 or 2003 on the Colombo brothers case, where the feds indicted him, his brother Joseph, his brother Christopher, and they really tried to bring this whole presentation very theatrical in the courtroom, and it went to trial about how they have their own segment of the crime family and all the operations that they're doing. And we know from history what it teaches us about a lot of the politically driven district attorneys, government attorneys who want to have these really big names, convictions attached to them so that they can move on to greener pastures inside the government jobs. And they really tried for Anthony, but he beat them. He's one of the few people to beat the feds at trial.
Yeah, Joey Merlino too.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money though. How much money did he spend on them trials?
I don't know. I'm close with the family lawyer. Lou Fasulo is the lawyer that took it home and beat them. He's still a practicing lawyer at the federal level here in New York City. And he does, I think, handle a lot of organized crime cases. I never asked what the bill was, but I did talk a little bit about the trial. And again, it was a lot about theatrics. It was a lot about presenting them, in such they enamor everything and they make it so much bigger than it actually really is. And, at the end of the day, I think there was a charge that he did have to plead out to. And I think the one thing that happened from all of that was legitimate businesses that he was involved in, he was stricken from. It's one of those things where, like, if you've worked in, the precedent set with that is that if you've worked in organized crime before, no matter what you've done in your life, they will consider it that it's tainted. So if you own a pizzeria and that pizzeria is legitimate, but if you've committed a crime elsewhere in organized crime, that pizzeria is ours. Feds will grab everything that you have. Yeah,
and that's really dirty move. It really is.
Yeah, they're not compartmentalizing what's actually happening. They're just, it's you're guilty for everything you've ever done. I mean, so does that make them bad fathers, bad husbands, without them doing anything? That would have to be, in my eyes, tried and looked at in an individual basis. But if this guy owns a flower shop and the flower shop's not doing anything wrong and you can't prove that, the overreach of RICO and all this stuff is just, it's egregious.
Yeah, I think nowadays, if someone gets involved and they're already a successful businessman or something, that's like a bad move to get involved with organized crime. I don't think you need it. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, repeat it one more time. I'm sorry.
Getting it with someone who say they have a legitimate business, if they get involved with organized crime nowadays. What do you think? What are your thoughts on someone getting involved with it nowadays?
I mean, my thoughts in general on organized crime would be to, until the internet goes down, stay away. I just, and if you want to be that soldier in that battle, you have to be that soldier in that battle as the Vikings were, as the Roman army was, where you're prepared to die in that battle, because the feds are prepared to kill you, obliterate you in that battle. So if you're not prepared to do, football numbers and pay maximum fines and, be separated from your family and all that stuff, don't get involved in crime. I see too many criminals that are involved for a short period of time, and then they're doing a long period of damage to people that they were involved in via the snitch movement. And the feds are very good at turning people in the 1970s and the 1980s. Well, now, unfortunately, the type of man that is built into crime right now is even easier to turn. It almost seems that it's become, kind of cool. And I totally disagree with that. And I totally disagree. And I would tell anyone, don't get involved in crime unless you want to die there. Unless that's how committed you're ready to be.
What was Anthony's thoughts, and what is your thoughts on people who cooperate?
Well, Anthony was definitely dead set against any of that. He comes from the old school. He's a dinosaur. So you do the crime, you do the time. And I feel exactly the same way. Again, that's why I would advise anybody, don't commit a crime, because I don't think anybody that is out there doing these things understands the consequences that come with it. And most of the time they're punks, and they won't take it on, and they'll make excuses. I watch a lot of podcasts, and I see a lot of them talking, and I know, like a situation like a Sammy the Bull, you'll read people, or you'll hear people talking about him in the essence, well, it was a chess game, and it was either him or Gotti, and he won. And I would just say, well, no, that's not what the data shows, because he didn't go for Gotti, and Gotti was the person that fell. Sammy the Bull locked up a plethora of criminals. He sat on a plethora of trials. The feds don't ask you to go one-on-one with someone. The feds keep you as a witness, and they have you work many cases. Once you're proven credible to them, like Sammy the Bull, you can sit on trials that you weren't even involved with, because, well, he's like a movie star to them. And he's a star. He's going to turn the jury. He's going to show his credibility. He's going to read things that we've scripted for him. So, rats to me are and normally the people that they pull from the cases, if you look at a lot of these cases, they're pulling the worst human being from the case. They already know, well, they've got the phone taps. This guy cheats on his girlfriend. He beat the shit out of his wife. He doesn't ever see his kids. He's a gambling junkie. This is our guy. This guy he is so, narcissistic and psychotic in his nature. We're just going to turn this guy because he's also selfish, right? So it's the worst of the human beings that get the least amount of time, and you have these good guys that are sitting behind bars for the football numbers again.
Yeah, what are your thoughts that they all have podcasts now and they try to present themselves as noble men?
Yeah, they're not. The podcast situation, it's a supply and demand. My concern is that there's so many people watching them and believing them. I think we've been fooled so much by the media. This is just another form of it, and it's a terrible form of it, to think that these guys, they're out there. I mean, you take even some of the stories of guys that were on their deathbed, like the Irishman. I Heard You Paint Houses, right? That book. He's talking about murders that he didn't commit. And people are, they're buying that. Even Scorsese puts it to print in a movie. Now, I'm not mad at him. He's in Hollywood world, and he's got to entertain people. But at some point, do we owe anything to facts? Do we owe anything to research anymore? Sammy the Bull, him on a podcast. I mean, he's already broken the Son of Sam laws numerous times. He put out a book, and this guy has killed 17 people, one of them a young kid, and I think he was involved in the murder of a cop too. I don't have a full scope on a story. Again, my research usually stays pre-1970s, but I do know enough about Sammy the Bull that he's probably violating Son of Sam somewhere, making some money. And this is a guy that, he did a few years for all of these murders so that we could put John Gotti and all these other people away. I don't think they should be rewarded anything. I don't think they should be allowed to talk about crime in a public forum. I think that the reason why this stuff happens, and let's go to a modern youthful rat. like the Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? Why does the Tekashi 6ix9ine exist, and how is it protected, and why and by who? Well, if you think about it, right, from a federal level, if you wanted to get into a grand conspiracy that I drummed this up one day, and it's, if you teach young kids in the inner city communities, and I don't care if they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, if you teach them that they can go on a short run of committing crime and doing damage to society, and then when they're done with their short run, all they have to do is turn in other criminals to be free and reap their benefits, what are you promoting? You're promoting crime. You're promoting young kids to go out there, grab guns, and commit crime. So I think the reason why all these snitches live and exist on these podcasts is because in some egregious way, our government needs this system to be in place. It needs young people to go out there and commit crime. And that is a signal. It's the get out of jail free card, that you can do all the dirt you want to do in life. And as long as you're a rat fuck who will turn their back on all these people you shook hands with, you're going to be okay. We'll give you a podcast. You can have dinner at some restaurant and hang out. And I'm very glad for the Joey Merlinos that are out there that have beaten the feds, and they're real guys, and they're talking. And I know he can't say much. And that's the other part. You know, as a writer, I get disgusted with the snitch books because they're not validating anything. My book's completely vetted. If you go to the back of my book, you'll see we had it legally vetted. Everything I said, I had to prove in some way, shape, or form. These guys are just diarrhea of the mouth. I did this, tough guy because I'm out. It's nonsense to me.
And a lot of them, like the Gene Barillos and John A. Dominic Zaccali, they think they're celebrities in their own minds.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, if you start back before they were that, the feds already examined them and knew that they had, their self-awareness was that they're narcissists. They're psychopaths. These guys, they don't have a true care but the care for themselves. And if I were to say to you would say, well, you don't know if you're going to rat until you get in that situation. Fair enough. Those guys, though, they would rat on their mother. They'd lock their sister up if it came down to it, because at the end of the day, they only value themselves.
100%. So now let's get back to the Colombo thing. So after his father passes away, you said he gets involved in the life, but does he go out to the West Coast? Like what direction did his life take?
No, he stayed in New York. So Anthony Jr., who became an attorney, he lives out on the West Coast, but he schooled here in New York. Anthony stayed in New York. Anthony was living in upstate New York in the late 1940s. Joe Colombo bought a piece of property up by Washingtonville, and then he started purchasing more and more property as it came for sale, and he built a house on that property with horse ranch and all everything you could want from an upstate property. And in the 1970s, Anthony had the entire family to take care of, and they're growing older. So the one roof and people getting married and whatnot wasn't serving, what it could. So he split the property up into 5 different properties and built homes for each one of the family members. So they all lived together in upstate New York. And I believe Anthony also had an apartment still in Diker, possibly Bay Ridge. I don't want to get it confused. So he was splitting some time between New York City and upstate, just as his father was in the 1960s.
Yeah, and his father passed away in that house, didn't he?
In the one upstate. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had full-time. I can't imagine what the amount of money that was being spent for the primary care that they were giving him. Of course, all in hopes that he was going to come to, and have his abilities back again. So, what could you put? What dollar amount could you put on it? No, you can't, because you could potentially have your father back. If anyone has lost anyone close to them, they know they would give everything, with the potential to see them again. So I think Anthony was doing that as well. He was trying to make as much money as he could so that he could help, take care of his father in hopes that he was going to come to.
Is there any situations that he told you that you could tell me that he was dealing with after his father was shot?
Not from a criminal.
No,
Uh,
not
oh,
criminal type thing. And anything like
well, I will say that there was turmoil, and I think you can read a little bit about this. So, you have a situation where the head of the family is, incapacitated. He's in a coma, and where does that go? So you have to set up the hierarchy there. And I know that there was a lot of arguing, and I know that continued for many years, even after Anthony was out of the rackets. I think when Anthony was locked up, the Persico Arena War was just starting. And Anthony had friends on both sides of that. So that was something that he was definitely dealing with while being involved in organized crime. Was that that this family, which had turmoil since the days of Profaci, right? The Profaci-Gallo War in the late 1950s. There's constantly in that turf, there's constantly turmoil. It's all been over leadership. So I think that was something that he probably struggled with. And I know that he stayed, I think it was probably helpful that he was in prison while that was going on, because you're not asked to take action. No one's in prison. The experience during the times of war between families was always that there is no war in prison. They didn't battle. If the Bonanos were battling Genovese's, and in prison, those guys are not battling. They're surviving together.
Yeah, they always stick together in prison.
Yeah.
How did Anthony feel about Carmine Persico?
I think just sentiment wise, Carmine tried to play big brother to Anthony, and he kind of took him under the wing. From what I remember, that was the closer relationship that he had with a lot of the people, because his father's closest friend was in prison, which was Sonny Francesi, and while he wanted to have a relationship with Sonny was locked up, and they were trying to throw away the key on him. The other friend that Mini Shallow, Carl Gambino, again, was more of a family figure that he would still see. They continued their relationship for many years. But Persico, I do believe that he had a very good relationship with Carmine Persico. I don't think he had a good relationship when Alley Boy came home. I think a lot of people will admit to the fact that he was very difficult to get along with, a very hardened man. Yeah.
What's good, everybody? I hope you guys like that interview. There's a lot more like it. And I got some new people I'm bringing to the table and some recurring guests. Shout out to Concrete Chronicles podcast. Go check him out. He spent like 25 years in prison in the feds, and he told me a bunch of crazy stories, and I'm going to bring them to you. If you want to see the whole interview before everybody else, just join the membership and you'll be able to see it. Make sure you check out the Patreon. And I just came on here to chop it up with you guys for a little bit. Hope you guys are all having a great day. Great night. Maureen, how are you? Full green light. What's going on? We got some faithful subscribers in the house. And we're on our way up. And we ain't worried about nothing. There's a bunch of fraudulent activities going on out there. But hey, ain't got nothing to do with me. Hey, Big Boy Blue, what's going on? How are you? I might have a guest that's going to join us. Waiting to see what's up. I have a whole slew of new people that are going to be coming on the show. And guess what? They're not cooperators. None of them. So you guys will be able to hear stories from people who didn't cooperate with the government, and they're still able to come on and do and say what they want. They're not going to talk like the way that the cooperators talk, how they talk about all this violence and all this crazy, stupid shit that they never did. These people are going to tell you the truth about a lot of things. So I have somebody who's affiliated with the Albanian mafia, straight from Albania. I already interviewed him. If you want to see the full interview, join the Patreon and you'll be able to see it. I'm going to be dropping that probably tomorrow. I'm going to drop it on YouTube. It's going to be a chopped up series. But if you want to see the whole thing, join the membership or join the Patreon, and you'll be able to see the whole interview in its entirety. And I've been uploading tons of content over on Patreon. I've been focusing on it. So shout out to Jahid. This dude told me some crazy stories. So the interview with the Albanian mafia guy is he told me about what it was like to be in Rikers Island. He was a jewel thief and he was accused of stealing $100 million. And in the interview, I show you pictures of him in prison and he tells all kinds of stories. And he was locked up with Shine from Bad Boy Entertainment, Shine Barrow. So he speaks on that. There's a bunch of things he speaks on. So if you guys want to see that exclusive content, make sure you subscribe. And we're going to be back with a regularly scheduled program tomorrow morning. It's going to be a funny one. You guys don't want to miss it. I know you guys saw that that movie, The Bad News Bears. It's something similar to that. We'll just say that. It is hilarious. And this weekend, I got a huge surprise to show you guys. I'm going to be on the road. How do you say that? Mile High Magic. Mile High Magic. What's up, man? How are you? Thank you for joining us. James, how are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. Cindy, what's going on? Where have you been at? I know I don't come on here and go live a lot. Mile High Magic, right? But I'm going to start doing more lives and I'm going to be stepping it up. I'm going to be bringing you guys different places. We're going to go live from some spots. And I'm going to show you guys some exclusive content that you can't see anywhere else. Remember I told you guys about the woman who brung her dead uncle into the bank to try to get a loan out for her. And I just finished the video. I'm going to upload it right when I'm done here. And you guys will be able to see it, not blurred. It's pretty crazy. I have quite a few videos on there that I went over. Here, I got a new picture from the movie set that I was in, and it's pretty dope. Check it out. The Ultimate Hitman. And if you guys don't know, I am holding a casting call. If you want to be involved in a movie, just hit up my email and we'll make it happen. No, I'm not kidding, Cindy. This woman really brung her dead uncle in to the bank to try to sign for a $3,000 loan. She was like grabbing his hand and putting the pen in his hand, his head falling back. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Here, let me see if I can show you guys a picture. It's blurred out. Yeah, here it is. Here's a picture of it blurred out. But if you want to see it unblurred, here it is. But I have the whole video on my Patreon, and you'll be able to see it over there. It's pretty wild. He was trying to hold the pen in his hand while his head falling back. It's crazy. I got some really good interviews lined up. You guys will be happy with the guests I have coming. These people have integrity. They're not like the you-know-whos of this genre. And we have some actors coming on. We got, you know how we do it. We mix it up. We got some MMA fighters. I'm going to be at a MMA fight not too long. Well, bare knuckle boxing. Shout out to Ann Bick. And Don Capria's interview is there's 2 more episodes. There's going to be another episode tomorrow, and I got something else playing tomorrow too. I forgot what it was. I'm going to have a guest joining me tomorrow probably. I'm not going to do it tonight. I just wanted to come on here and chop it up with you guys a little bit. We got the best subscribers out there. We don't need 1 million people. We got the ones we need. And that's all that matters. And no one can stop our grind. I don't give a shit. And if you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. There's a lot more on the way. And if you don't like this content, too fucking bad. Start your own shitty podcast. Peace.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.